session, we will be discussing two concepts or two topics. Mostly, before we start, I will just clarify that if you are facing a problem with understanding one of the concepts here, it's not a problem. Mostly, they're not that related to the basics of Python, but it will be good to know about them. So it will be useful for you with other projects and so on. Okay. So the first topic we'll be discussing is the object-oriented programming. Okay, or what's called OOP. And the other one, we are going to discuss the what we told you at the beginning of the course, which is the Word Cloud Challenge. Okay, so for the Word Cloud Challenge, will be introducing to you the Colab, environment and Jupyter notebook and so on. So just basic concepts and so on, so you know how to use them and so on for especially for those who are dealing with the data and science or and so. Okay, so the idea of the Word Cloud Challenge is that this kind of photo, okay, or this image is created from a book, okay, and the image is created based on the number of times the word is repeated inside a certain book. So you feed your book into the the piece of code or the software or whatever, and it will generate this for you. It will show you, and we will go through the process of creating the same image here using either the book you want or any book you prefer. Okay, and this one, for example, has been created using the Alchemist book, and the word that has the bigger size means it's the most repeated word, and so on. Oh, this is for the Word Cloud Challenge. Okay. Now, let's head to the Visual Studio Code. I think one of you is or her microphone is open. Can you mute your microphone? It's disturbing the others, I think. Okay. Let's continue now. For the two sessions, the Ruben, or for the two topics, there will not be any slides so far. Will be coding mostly. So now I will introduce you to what's called these classes or object-oriented programming objects in Python. Okay. So in Python, we have what we called a class. Okay, so if we started, let's start a new. Okay, okay. So in Python or in programming languages, especially the high level programming languages, a class is what we call a blueprint of an object. Okay, what is an object? So an object is, let's say we have, for us, for example, let's go to the animal words. Okay, so for example, we have animals. Okay, now in animals, which we have, then we have mammals and so on and so on and so forth. So for example, we have animals, then we have mammals, then we have under mammals, we have dogs, we have cats and so on. Okay. So when we come to a class is going to be, for example, the basic or the structure, the blueprint, okay, which can help us be reused, okay, more than one time. So for example, now if you want to create a button inside let's say you are designing a UI or you are designing a software, then in your software you will need to have what we call a button. So let's, for example, see this. For example, let's see this image, for example. Now, when you see, we have, for example, here one button and this button and so on. So it will be unlogical if we are going to create these buttons and to just keep writing the same code and so on, because after all they are a button. Okay. So to solve this problem in Python, we have what we call object-oriented programming, which help us to create, for example, a class that's called button. Then the class will have some specification that we can use to recreate, okay, that button with different configuration. Okay. So let's start, for example, creating a class now. So let guys, can you please mute your microphones?
To ai wannan abin da yanzu zaka ga sauran gwamnoni su ma sun dauka. Wallahi kuwa yanzu da shi wannan dama da yake neman kuɗi.
Guys, can you please mute your microphones?
Yana cewa yana neman.
So let's, for example, here create a class, and let's call this class, for example, person. Okay. So in Python, this way you are creating a class. Now, when you let's when we have a person, for a person we'll have what? We'll have, for example, an age and a name. So we'll initiate use an initiation method called initiate. So in Python, we want to create an object. Well, we have to have an attribute called or an argument called self. Okay, and then we have our other arguments. Now, inside we can have our variables. For example, name, and then we go to the other one, age. Okay. Okay. Now this is a class. Okay. Now when you see, okay, what's the use of it? I'll tell you what's the use of it. Now I can create multiple persons. Okay, so I have a person here, which is a class of person. I can create, for example, person one, and using the class. Okay, now I can give this person or the class I created. Now this one is not a class, it will be an object or an instance, okay, of this one. So now I use this class as a blueprint to create multiple persons. So I can have another person here. Okay, I can have person two, and I can have the name here. Let's call this one Alex, and the age, let's say 22, and this the other person we created, let's call Sam and 23. Okay, now using this blueprint assemble a class, we created two people, okay, person one and person two. So for example, let's try and print, for example, the first person here and run our program. Okay, it will tell us this is an object of person. Okay, let's try and access this person name. So we can name, okay, and run our code. Okay, the person, for example, has the name Alex and so on. And this the other person also the same. So we can, okay. So now using this one, this is simple, a class, I can create multiple persons. So let's imagine this class to be, for example, if we are going to talk about UI or user interface using Python, this can be uh, a button. Okay, this can be a function, a certain feature inside your program that you are going to create multiple times. Okay, this is what we call object sorry, what we call classes or object-oriented programming. Okay, and inside this class, we can have multiple methods. What we these ones we call methods. So, for example, now I initiate a person. Now I want this person to have some functionality. So I'm going to create a method. Okay. So for example, I want this person to be able to talk. Okay. So I will create a method called talk here. So when we have functions, okay, a function inside a class, we call it a method. So then we have, for example, let's say the message that we want the user, the person to talk. So self dot message equals message. So I can then, if the person is going to talk, he has to say something. So he was going to say the message. Okay. Now I can directly, after I created this one, I can take one of the persons here. I can say print. I can let's say person one, for example, dot talk. Okay, and I will give it the message I want to say. Hi. Okay. Now it says hi. First person says hi. Okay. So let's make it more. So let's say here use the self dot uh, name. Okay, try it now. Okay, so we can add this one. Says okay. Now we can Alex says hi. Okay, so this this class can be used to create methods. So the method can be, for example, talk. Can be it can be delete, add, and so on. So I can now I can, for example, instead of making giving this talk, I can make him. I can create a third person, for example. Let's say person three, give any name. So let's say Ali and any age and so on. So let's make this one talk. So Ali says hello, for example. Okay. So Ali says hello, and so on. This is what we call object oriented programming on Python. Okay, and it has a lot of functionality, and what we call there is a lot of knowledge you need to to read more about. Okay, I cannot explain everything here, but this is just an introduction to object oriented programming and what is classes in Python and so on. Okay, so do you have any question so far? Hello, any questions? Hello. Okay, I think no one has a question. So one of the what can we say, the characteristics or specific? Yes,
Can you read
you have a
our
question.
comment, our chat?
Let
Can
me
you see
check
them
the chat. Okay, I'll check the chat now.
or not?
Yes.
Nothing. Because you did respond
Okay.
to some of the time.
Okay. I didn't see the chat with you. Okay. Now, so one of the characteristics, for example, for of a class, we can have also what we call an attribute. What do you mean by an attribute? I can have in my class, I can have an attribute. Let's say have an attribute called species. Okay, or let's say this is rule. Okay, now say manager. Okay, now this person have an attribute called rule, so I can access for this person, I can access the role of the class. So I can say person dot and role. So now if I try print role, okay, I can access the role, for example. So I can for example, let's try and change the attribute for this class. So let's say the role, let's say student. Okay, so now when I change, for example, the attribute here for one class, it doesn't affect the other classes. Okay, so this one, it has its own instance, so it's independent of this one. So this one all independent of each other. Okay, so you can change this one wants to be changed, and so on. Okay, so let's try and print, for example, person 2. Okay, so you can see, even I change the role for one of them, the other one doesn't. It's not affected. So this is one of the benefit of using a class, because you create a class, so the class will be like a blueprint. Do you understand what do you mean by when I say what do I mean when I say a blueprint? It's to make it more clear. Do you know the tool that we use? Is the entire class manager? No. This one is just an attribute. You can change it accordingly. So it tells you that this instance has this attribute. So you can change it according to which instance. So this one is called an object. Okay. So this is an object of this class. So the object can be anything. So this is just and this is one is initialized. So when you specify, yeah, you can change it, or you can just make it empty. But this one is we initialize the attribute and so on. Okay, let's continue. So if you know the tools, let's say the one that's used to make cookies, thin cookies or biscuits and so on. The one you use, just put the flour and so on, then you create cookies of it. So this is a class. This is how a class works. You can, using that tool, you can create different shapes. Okay, using just one tool. Okay, so this is a class. So we have the person. We can create multiple persons or multiple animals or so on using that one class. Okay, so let's make it. Let's take, for example, class. Let's get it and call this class animal, for example. Okay, so the animal will be, for example, let's say species. Okay, So the species, for example, will be mammal. Okay. Now this is another class. So this one, this is a person class, this is animal class. We initiate. So for example, what do we need for an animal? We have to initiate function. So self is here is what we call a required argument. So you have to have it. Then we have for an animal, for example, we have a name. I think age. We can have color. I think. Okay. And let's self dot name equals name. So I'm telling this name will be equals the name I'm going to provide here, and also self dot age, for example, is going to be age. Self dot color is going to be color. Okay. Now I initiate, and now also I can here one of the attributes I can let's say I think type animal type. No, I'm not sure. Okay, let's go type or whatever. So the animal type, for example, let's say for now I can create, let's say, can be a dog. Okay. Now I can add to it functions like let's say what can an animal do? For example, walk. Okay. Okay. Print walking. Okay. Now I have this class called animal. I can create animals of it. So I can have my first animal called. So I can have. So let's make this empty so we can specify the name. So cat, it's animal, and we call this an animal. The name. Let's create with the name. So let's cat Spike, for example, or whatever, and the age 1 year, and the color, let's say black. Okay. Now I created an animal using this class, and I created the cat using this class animal. So I can create also a dog. Okay. Now this one, because I didn't specify the type, I can also specify the type. So I can say cat dot type. Okay, and it was cat. Okay. Now I already created a class called an object out of this animal called cat. Okay, I can create another animal. I can a dog, for example, and so on. Okay, this is what do we mean by object-oriented programming in Python. Okay, so I know it seems a little bit frustrating. It's not that easy to understand, but this is the way object-oriented programming. You will understand it more with the practice. So, do you have any questions so far? Okay. Let's also I give. Can you run the animal code? Okay. So now if I can say cat dot walk. Okay. So if I run the code, it will say walking. Now is my code is for example for animal or the object for animal who's done working. I can let's say let's give an example that will be used, for example, in the what you call it when you create a project. Let's for example, if you create a project that deals with the users. Okay, so we'll create an object and class called users. Okay, the class here will have the type, user type, is it an admin or so on. Okay, or rule. So let's call it a rule. Okay, and you will initiate the user. So self name, the user has a name, and the user, for example, let's have a name for now. Okay, now self dot name equals name. Okay, now for example, a user will have, you know, a function called set password, for example. Okay, a method called set password. So you can set password here. Okay, self dot password. What I think I'm making. Okay, password equals password. Okay, and what a user also can have, a user can, for example, have let's say send message. Imagine that you are send message, and you have self message. Okay, self dot message. So okay, and more. You can have also delete, or you can have let's say mm, profile picture, set profile picture, and so on. So this is the way, you know, uh, when we have users, we create users, we set a class for a user like this. Okay, so using this one, we can create a user, and you can have a first user, second user, third user, and so on. So each user will have a role. So is it an admin or a normal user? And the user is going to have a password, and the user also is going to you know, have some what you call features or abilities to do, like send messages. You will have also an ability, for example, to set a profile picture and so on, like Facebook or whatever. Okay, so this is one of the use of you know, classes or object oriented programming in Python. Okay, and I think that's all for object oriented programming. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, I think this one is it was a bit confusing, but we'll continue with the rest. I will send you some materials relating object-oriented programming later. So if you want to dive more, as a beginner, it's not that important, but it's an idea to know about. Okay. Okay. Now, if we are going to do this, we have to, you know, use what's called you know, a tool called Colab. Okay. Now, if you want to access Colab, we have to first go to what we call it. Let's say Colab playground. Let's check this one. Okay. So basically, this is Colab. Colab is you know, and it's mostly like a note, an IDE note book that allow us to, you know, use Python interactively. Okay, so you can write a code, execute the code at the same time. Now I will send a link to the WhatsApp group, so you can access you know, the same Colab I will be working on, and I will start coding the World Cloud Challenge. Okay, so I will send the link now. I already sent the link to the group. So when you access the link for the first time, the internet is a bit slow. Yeah, when you access the link for the first time, it will open in the view mode. You can see it's only viewing. You will not be able, to make changes and save them. So what I want you to do is to go to File, okay, and click Save a Copy in Drive. So it will save a copy of this file in your Google Drive, okay, and you must have a Google account, okay. So before I start, I want to make sure all of you have already created, a cool app using using this, this file for just as a beginning. Okay, so open the link. It will open this one. Go to a file, save a copy in a drive. Okay, so if it will ask you to sign in if you're not signed in. So I hope everyone can open the collab. So for example, if you click save a copy in a drive, it will start creating a copy, and this copy will be in your Google Drive, and you can edit it and run the code easily then. Okay. Guys, is all of you or were you able to open the Collab file or website? Sorry. Okay, so should I start? Okay. Now, if you were able to open this, okay, you can see we have some already some coding here. So this coding is the essentials that we are going to need. So this is the libraries we are going to use here. Okay. Before we start, what is the Colab here is just a virtual computer that's is running inside Google servers. Okay, so it's a Linux virtual machine inside Google server. What that will allow us to to use Python and do some coding, data processing, AI, and so on using this one. So this is a great tool. We'll be using it for our challenge here. Okay. So the good thing is that this one allow us to do fast interaction with Python. Okay. So for example, let's create a code here. Now, for this one is called cell code. Okay. So let's try and create a new notebook. Okay, I'll create a new notebook, an empty one before. So I want you to try to create a new notebook. Don't close this one. We're going to need this one. So after you create a new notebook, it will be an empty notebook. Okay. This one, this one is called a Colab instance, and this Colab instance will allow us to do our Python coding and so on interactively. What do we mean by interactively? I can write the code here, for example, hello, okay, and click shift enter, and it will run the code directly. Now it's running, okay. At the beginning, it will take some time to run because it's connecting. Okay. Okay, now it's working. So I can, for example, try any code here. Let's say x equals to 10, okay, x x plus x plus 1, and I say print x, okay, and I can run the code. It will run directly, okay. So this is what we mean by interactive. So you can run part of the code, then you can the other part, and so on, part by part. And I can access x, for example, above here. So this is the benefits of using Colab, okay. uh, this is this for Colab to understand it and so on. Now, for our challenge here we have, if you go here, this is just the libraries we import, okay. Now, if you go down here, this is the book. I just copied the whole book as a text, so it's not the best way to do it, but it will be easier for you instead of downloading the book and so on. So this is the whole book for the the alchemist book and so on, okay. So just go down. If you go down, we'll have and the code we are going to work on will be here and here, okay. So we are going to write the code that will allow us to filter this book, okay, and count the number of what you call it, words that are repeated, except uninterested word, this word like the, you, are, and so on. So we're going to ignore these words. We are going to ignore the punctuation, and we are going only to count the the other words, and we are going to keep a track how many times they have been repeated to create, and we are going to use the word cloud library to create this image, okay. So I hope everyone are able to run this one, and we will start. First, we're going to start by you go here and click shift enter to run this a cell or piece of code to download the libraries and so on. So now all libraries have been installed. You can also run this cell to just initialize the book that we have here, okay. Okay. Now we have to write a code to filter the words and count the words. But as I told you before, if you want to do a project, you have to start step by step. So the first thing we are going to do, we are going to write a code that's going to filter this book, the whole book, okay. But instead of doing this the whole thing at the same time, no, we have first to create the code that's going to do the filtering first, then we are going to put it here, okay. So let's start. So first we need first what we do, to go through the lines of the file, okay, and get rid of these punctuations and uninterested word, okay. So let's try to find a way to do it. how are we going to do it? So mm, sorry, but I need to check something. Okay, uh, let's go back here. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do, we need to create, a loop that reads through all the lines, and I think we have done this before, if you remember. So if you go to the previous codes we have, wrote before, so you can see the one that deals with the file. So file, for example, this one. Okay, so this one reads the file and goes line by line. But for now, we are not going just line by line, but we have to also, get remove some words and so on. Okay, so because we are, dealing with two type of, problems now, we have to get rid of the punctuations. Okay, and we have to get rid of the uninterested word. We are going to do it into parts. First, we are going to create, a function that's going to delete the punctuations. Okay, so let's create a function, call it, for example, remove. Okay, punctuations or whatever. And what we are going to pass, we are going to send, text, uh, or what we call, sorry, before this one, let's go here, go, let's start with the first step, which is we are going to loop through all the lines. Okay, and we are going to count how many times a word have been repeated. This is the first step to do it. Okay, so let's go here and create, write, write the code. we are going to first, uh, sorry, this one. What was the name? Book. Okay. So yeah, we make sure this the our book is sorry, it's a, I think, book. Okay. So we have our book here. So let's call this one, for example, lines, and we are going. The lines will be stored in what we our books will be will store it in a variable called lines, and we are going to loop, okay, through our lines here. So for line in lines, okay. Now we are if we loop through the lines here, uh, we are going to get the lines line by line, and the lines we are going to split them into words, okay. So after we go through the lines, we are going to go through another loop, call it word, okay, and let's call it for word in lines. Let's try print word, okay. It says books is not, I didn't, sorry, it's called book, okay. What is missing? Okay. Now you can see that it gives us, it prints, the word, but what happens is that it prints word by word, okay. And this is not okay, because we don't want the characters, the letters, okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to get the lines, use a function called split lines, that we are going to split the lines into multiple words. So get our lines and called lines, okay, dot, okay, into uh stop this one. I What's happening there? I think the internet is a bit slow here. What happened? Actually, I was cut out of the session, the meeting. Okay. The host, can you stop the other me? I don't know what happened. I'm twice in the meeting, twice. Can the host solve the problem? Okay. Actually, there was a small problem with the internet. I don't know what happened. Okay. Now, let's go back to our doing. Actually, because now we are running the code here and printing everything. It was a mess here. So we'll try to write the code here, so it will be easier. And then we are going to copy the code to here. Okay. So let's first. Okay. I think there is a problem with the internet. So I will send you the book, which is the Alchemist book here, to the group. Then you can download it, so we can all work in the same book. Okay. Okay. I already sent the book to the group. So what we are going to do, we are going to first read the book using the normal way. Filter the words, write a code that's going to filter the words. After we filter the word, we are going to use the same code in our Colab. Okay, so it will be easier for us. Okay, so I hope you can download the book. This is the Alchemist. So if you can remember how we are going to how can we read the file? We can read the file like text file. Then we can open the file, which is called the Alchemist here. Where is the book? What happened? Okay, we have to get rid of the space here before we give it the book. Okay. So we are going to read the book here. So reading mode. Okay. So we are going to call this line. So text file dot read. Okay. And we are going to loop through the line. So we are going to say for line in lines. Okay. And we are going to go also looping through the word. Okay, for word in line. Okay, and we are going to print word. Now let's try run our code here. Okay, it says that Alchemist, yeah, I forgot the extension. Okay, let's Okay, now we are facing the same problem here. How to solve it? We don't want the words to be split like this. So we are going to split the lines using the split lines function here. Try again. Okay, we are still facing the same problem. So we can notice that what happens is that it reads the line, and after it reads the line, it reads the line each line as a character, and we don't want this. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to create a list of the words, okay, in each line. So let's say word in line, okay. So we are going to get each word and put it in the list and push it there. So there are two ways to do it. Either we have to create, a for loop inside a for loop and so on. But I will introduce you to something in Python what's called one liner. So I can do the whole thing in one line. So I can just say L, which is going to, let's say, correct word or whatever. Okay, or L for line, for L in line dot split. Okay, now this one is going to do what? It's going to loop through the line, split the line, and then push it back into the list. Okay, so it will create a list of words here. So, and instead of looping through the line, we are going to loop through a list of uh, lines. So you can see that I already have the words. Okay, so before we continue, do you understand what happened here? I hope you understand what happened. I know it was a bit confusing, but I hope everything okay. So do you have any questions so far, guys? See, when there is no question, it's either you don't understand or you understand. So I don't know. Do you have any question? So I think you can continue. Okay. Now you can see that we have the words here. Okay. Now we have, the question mark and so on. So, sir, what's the difference between running it in a Colab and with is good? Okay. Actually, in Colab, it was a bit of a mess. You notice the internet just was cut suddenly. So very high code here. Running it. Why RNG? Because this function, this library, which is word cloud, so I'm going to use it inside the VS Code. I have to install the library, and the people who are using Windows will face some problems using this library directly in Windows. They have to install some stuff. So I don't want to bother you with this stuff. We want to just focus on using Python. Okay. Sorry, it's a mess, but I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. Okay. So do you have any question? Okay. Now you see that we can get the words word by word, but however we still have facing some problems, which is the punctuations, the small capital case and small case and so on. Because now we are reading the words, we don't care about either small or capital. We are going to change all the words to lower case. So we are going to get the word that we get. We are going to change it to a lower case. Okay. So this one will help us to change all the words to lowercase. So all the words now lowercase. Okay. So far so good. Okay. Now we can loop through the lines. We can get the words word by word. Everything is working fine. Okay. Now we want to count the words. Okay. to count the word, one of the ways to do it is, to create a dictionary. So the dictionary is going to help us to have, a keyword, which is our word, and we have a number that's keep increasing. Okay, punctuation and so on, we are going to solve it later. First, we have to make sure we can count the word. Okay. After that, we are going to create another function to help us get rid of the punctuations. Okay. So step by step. So now we create a dictionary. Okay. What we are going to do, we are going to say word dot. So this one word, sorry, word, and we are going to say okay, +1. Okay. So what we are saying here, it's this one is like we are getting the number of, or the number of the words, and we adding one each time I find this word. Okay, I'm going to add one. Okay, so let's try run our code here. Okay, we have a problem. It says that key error. For example, at the beginning, the dictionary will not have a word like key and so on. So that and so on. What we are going to do, we are going to create an conditional that asks check if the word inside our dictionary or not. So we are going to say if word in words. Okay. What we are going to do, we are going to add. Okay. So directly. Else, if it's not in word, so else, what we are going to do, words, then we are going to assign 0 to it. Then after that, we add, sorry, words, okay, plus, okay. Now let's try again. Okay, I think it's working fine. I don't want this one, so don't wait. Okay. Now let's print words. Let's see, is it working fine so far? Okay, you can see that it gives me the word and how many times it has been repeated. This one repeated 1 time, this one repeated 8 times, but it also considers the the punctuations and so on. Okay, so this code is already working for counting the words. Okay, we can count the word directly. However, we want to get rid of the punctuations and so on. Okay, so what I want you to do is first we can get the list of punctuations from our Colab here. Okay, so we have the punctuation and the uninterested word. We can get this one. Just copy it here and put it anywhere here. So okay, so we are going to use this list later to get rid of according to the list here. Okay. Okay. Now this one is working fine. No problem. Okay. For now, let's go and do the rest. So create a function. Let's call this function remove. Okay, punctuation. And what we are going to need to remove the punctuation, the best way is that after we get, we have already a dictionary. Okay, so we can get each key and remove the punctuation from the key itself. Okay, so I think this is the way to do it, and I'm not sure is it totally perfect, but it's a way. So we are going to do this. So what we are going to do for arguments, we are going to need the dict. So let's call it text dict here, and we are going to need what? The punctuations. Okay. So we are passing these two, so we can use them to get rid of the the what do you call it, the punctuations and so on. Okay. So we are going to create a new, a dictionary to store the new values from the dictionary. So let's call it new, because now we are going to process this one, and we are going to get rid of it and then push it back to our new dictionary. So let's say new dictionary, and we are going to, copy the old dictionary, this, for example, this one, and copy it to the new one. So we can use a function called new dict dot update. Okay, text. So now what's gonna happen? This, all the values here will be pushed to this dictionary. So this one will have as the same values as this one. Okay, this one, because it will help us to keep the original file. Okay, because we still need the, the original file to compare. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to go through the punctuation. So for B and punctuation, so for all the punctuations, check for the words. Okay, and our uh, dictionary. But what we are going to check, the keys. Okay, these ones. So dict keys. Okay, now we are looping inside the punctuations, looking into the keys, which is our words here. We are looking for what? If one of the punctuation is inside our word. Okay, so we see is the punctuation in our word. So if word, now if we check if the punctuation is in our word, we are going to remove it. Okay, so this one is not a very perfect way to do it, but I'm going to do it just to make it easy for you. Okay, so it's either we remove, the words that has punctuations. Okay, or we get rid of the punctuations in the word. So let's figure out a way to do it. How can we now we check if the punctuation is inside the word. Okay, so can we remove the punctuation from our word? Do you have an idea? Okay, does anyone of you have an idea how can we remove these ones from our word? So for example, I want to remove just this one, for example, or I want to remove the dot only. Can you think of a way? Tell me. Okay, I think we can use this. So we can find the one that punctuation and what you call delete it. Okay, so let's try. So if word, let's say for now I'm going to print the main word, print word. Okay, let's try if we get the words directly. So we are going, after we do this process, we are going to run our code in words. Okay, and punctuation. Okay, okay, it gives me all the words that has the punctuation. So let's try, and what we are going to do here, go to Python here and try one of the methods. So Python, let's try get one of the words here. Okay, so as I told you before, if you want to do something, start simple. So it's just try to understand how your code will work. So let's say, okay, So can I say x dot replace, for example, my word here. So replace this one with nothing. Okay, it worked. So we can use replace and get rid of the punctuation. Yeah. So let's try. Can say if word dot replace, okay, and we say b, replace it with this one. Okay. Actually, when we say replace, yeah, we are actually deleting it. We are going to replace the word itself with an empty one, so it means deleting it. Well, that's what we mean. Okay. So for word replace, we can we go here and let's see. Okay. After we replace now, so let's say word. Now we are going to the keys. So for word detected keys. Okay. I think now we are able to replace. Now let's print for word keys replace. Let's see. Print word here. Okay. We still have some punctuations here. Okay. So what we are going to do here, let's say if p word and so on, and we are going to push this one. Okay. New text. Okay. Mm, okay, I think I have a faster way. Let's just delete the words. This one is going to be missing here. So new text. Okay. I'm going just to delete the one that has. Okay. So let's try again. And we can say return new text. Okay. And we are going to print. Okay. Okay. Now this we did it the easiest way. Just deleted the words that has punctuations. It's not a good way to do it, but it's a faster way. Okay. I want to show you just how you can deal with dictionaries and so on. Okay. Now let's create another function to get rid of the uninterested word. Okay. So let's call it remove. Okay. Uninterested or whatever. Okay. What we are going to pass, we are going to pass the dictionary. Okay. And we are going to pass the uninterested words. We are going to do the same. So create a dictionary and same steps, create a dictionary and so on. Okay. And we are going to loop through the uninterested words. And if the word is there, we are going to just delete it from our list. Okay. Okay. Now we have two functions, remove, remove. Okay. Now I think everything is set. We have remove punctuations and we remove the uninterested words. Now we can just get this code, put it in here. So first, this one no need. Okay. Just delete this one, run. Okay. So we can just copy these two. Okay. So the first one and second one, and define them here, all along, so we can use them later. Okay. So the main code, we are going to put it here. That is going to loop through the words. Okay. So this is the main code. Okay. Now, because our book is here already, I just copied the whole book here. So I can just say lines equals to book. Okay. And after we finish all the process here, we can just call our functions. So we are going to define a new dictionary, call it a new one, new dictionary, and two, for example, and we are going to remove punctuations. So what we are going to pass, we are going to pass words, I think, yeah, words, and we are going to pass the punctuations. So punctuations, okay, we are going to also remove uninterested words, so the same dictionary. So new text to, okay, and remove uninterested word. We are going to pass the old dictionary, interested words. Okay, let's try run our code here. Run our code here. Okay, everything is fine. Let's try and run our code here. Okay, non-type object has no attribute items. Okay, we are passing the book here, saying book. Okay, because instead of passing the book, can do this. Okay, let's try. Okay, still have a problem. At least word to block a code. Okay, so you can see that it tells us there is no words that it can print. So let's check our dictionary here. Is it really does have the values we want? Okay, so the dictionary is not defined actually. So we have a problem here. So let's call this one new dict. Okay, we're going to have the words. It says not defined. Let's print. So let's see what's happening. Print. Okay, run. And let's see what we have. Okay, you still have a problem. It says that calculate image at both. Okay, I think we have to to make sure this our book is defined, but I think somehow okay. Okay, let's try again. So this is working fine, I think. Okay, let's see. Do some debugging. So lines equals the file content for line in lines. Okay, we set the lines correct. We get the lines correct. Okay, we make sure. Okay, okay. This is what's happening. This function is running correctly, but it doesn't return anything. That was the problem. So it doesn't return the values that we needed to return. So that was our problem. Okay, run the code. Let's try. Okay, see, now this is the photo we created using this code, using this book, we created this photo. So do you have any questions so far? You can try the code yourself, and if you face any problem, just tell me. The generator part. Oh, you mean this one? If you mean this one, actually, you don't need to bother yourself with it because it's an already created function. This one us the photo, and this one is a function that help us plot plot the photo here. Okay, this one plot m show, just plot the image. So this help us to create an image, so you don't need to bother yourself with it. I already give you the code because it's a function, it's a library, so it needs a lot of explaining and so on. So don't bother yourself with it. If you were able to write this code, okay, and this code, this is fine. That's all you need to do. Okay, it does. It just get the whole line. Let's get a line from here. For example, let's get this line. Okay. Okay. And let's call it x equals. Okay. And it's now we are going to loop through the line once using the for loop, it will loop the lines. So we are going to split the lines. So we are going to split each line into an array. So this line, the whole line, is now inside a list. Okay, this is the first step we want to do. So because we want to have, if we have multiple lines, so we have first line, and then we have the second line, and so on. Okay, so this is the split lines one. So it will, if, for example, these multiple lines, create, let's say X. Sorry. Let's say here, for example, X equals to okay. Lines. Oh, okay. You can see that inside my list, this is a list. I have first element, second element, and third element. So that's what does the split lines do? It divides your lines into multiple elements. Okay. Anyone else? Do you have any question? Any question, guys? So hopefully everyone was able to run this code and get it right. If no questions, this is what I understand actually. So I think no questions so far. All of you were able to get this image and run the code. Yes? Okay. If no questions, I think we can conclude our course for Python. So I would like to thank you all for being part of this course and for spending the time to learn about Python and to learn it. It was a journey after all. I think 5 sessions. What I want to say is that first, some advice if you want to learn programming or you are using Python or whatever in part of your project. Mostly these kind of courses or they are just a key or a gate that helps you to get into the world of Python or to the world of programming. Okay, so they're not everything. If you keep just trying getting courses course after course and after course without exercising, I think you will not improve. Okay, so after this, if you are really into Python and you find it interesting, you should try some projects, go for further more advanced advanced courses. This one is just, a beginner's course. Some concept might seem, a little confusing. Some concepts are, what can I say, are not that clear. So, but this is, a part of the learning process. So if you want to keep, learning and so on, you have to go for, further in Python. Try write your own programs, projects, and so on. There are a lot of resources online. There are a lot of courses. So the best way to learn is to practice. So try, waste some time. It's not a waste of time. Just you can spend some time, debugging, finding the error. Don't get bored easily. So if you write some code and it doesn't work, okay, search, Stack Overflow, search Google, and so on. So spend some time if you want really to learn. Okay. Uh, Actually, I have been using Python, I think, now for 4 years, or let's say 3 years, and 4 years, except some. Okay, and till now, I'm still facing some problems in Python, because after all, it's like, a very wide language, so it has a lot of applications, a lot of libraries, and so on. So it depends on the application you are going for. So if you are going for AI, if you are going for image processing, and so on. Okay, I think there's a question. So if you don't mind, can you please explain the code once again, roughly? Okay, okay. So if we go through the code, this one, at the beginning, you will find the libraries that you need to call first before you start. So you are going to run this one. It's going to help you get the libraries that you need. Okay. So for example, the word cloud library, this one uses a dictionary of words and their count to create an image. NumPy, this one is useful to deal with matrices and so on, because now we are creating an image, so this helps us to deal with the images and so on. And the rest is just helpful. And this one to plot the image, just helpful libraries, or helpful libraries. Okay, this one, the book, I imported the book, or both the code in a very stupid way. Sorry to say that, but actually the way that the Google the Colab to uploads files is a bit confusing. So I don't want to confuse you. So I just copied the whole book here. Okay, so this is the book. After that, we can go to the main code here. So is it okay? So the main code is here. This is the main code, which is calculate frequency. So it will calculate how many times, or how the frequency of the repeated words. Okay, so how many times is the word is repeated? So this is the main code that counts the words. However, when we count the word, some words has punctuation, some words are very repeated, like you, the, she, he, it, and so on. So we want to get rid of these words because they are uninterested words, and we want to get the punctuations. Okay, so we have a list of the punctuations as words. So what we do, what we did, we created a function that will go, go through the list, or through our dictionary we are going to fit, and the dictionary already has the word and how many times it has been repeated. So the way I did it here, I think you can do better if you try yourself. I just deleted the word that has a punctuation and so on. And this is not the correct way to do it, but this is the way also. We just want to show the photo or the image. Okay. And the other function will get rid of the uninterested words. So this is the correct way to do it. So I go through the words and delete the words that are not interested, like the, she, and so on. Okay. Then I return these two dictionaries. When I return them, I get rid of the punctuations. Then I send it back to the uninterested word. I get rid of the interested word. After I finish, I just send it back to the dictionary. The dictionary will going to, to the library. So the library gets a dictionary. It will generate an image using this dictionary. So that's what does the code do. The main code here, it will go through the lines, and this one will get the line, and because it's multiple characters, so it will sum each word alone. So it will go through the words, and each word will be stored in this list. So I can then I go through the list of words. I use a specific, built-in functions called is alpha. So this wants to check if the word is, has numbers or not. So if it has numbers, we ignore it. If it just words, so we accept it. Okay, to get rid, the numbers and so on. Then we keep, if each time we encounter the word, we add one. So we keep adding. Okay. So, but for the first time, because the word is not created, we create, you know, a key of that word with 0. Then we add one, and we keep adding for each word. Okay. Then we send it. We use the plot uh, library here. It helps us to plot, the image and so on. Okay. That's all. Do you have any question? Okay. As I was saying, you have to understand that, courses to learn programming is just the beginning. Okay, so this course is just the beginning. So if you want to, uh, and understand Python better, you have to practice more, do your own projects, try, various types of projects. So this is my advice to you. Okay, and the other thing, I think GYSO also mentioned that if you attended 80% of uh, the course, and you want to get a certificate, you can get a certificate which costs 25 ringgit. Okay, so you can ask them for a certificate if you already attended 80% of the course, either through the YouTube or through the live session. I think that's all for our Python crash course. This is Hatem Hunish, your instructor, and I hope I did good teaching you Python. And shared some of my experience in Python and so on. And if you have any question, you can ask. Okay. I think that's all. Thank you, everyone.